Anita Sarkeesian, better known perhaps as Feminist Frequency, has released the first in her long-awaited series of videos examining the role of female characters in video games, a series which, by the way, was publicly funded by her audience via Kickstarter to the tune of $158,922. The first video is entitled Damsel in Distress Part 1: Tropes vs. Women in Video Games. The video itself is actually far more even-handed than previous analyses I've seen from Sarkeesian, and I honestly have no major criticisms of its content. I do, however, take issue with one aspect of Anita's video, the fact that she has disabled ratings, comments, and even statistics. We, the audience, are not allowed to have an opinion, it seems. I took to my Tumblr earlier to blog about why this development irks me. I wrote, Feminist Frequency, aka Anita Sarkeesian, has finally uploaded the first part of her series on tropes versus women in video games, and it predictably has both the ratings and the comments disabled. What are you afraid of, Anita? Why can't people have a discourse about your material? Why can't people make their opinions towards your content known? I understand that some comments will be abusive in nature, probably most will, but so what? You are putting forth a particular ideological stance. Your unwillingness to allow that stance to be challenged undermines the legitimacy of your claims because it sends the signal to everyone who lands on your page that your ideas cannot hold up under scrutiny. I encourage you to enable comments and ratings, Anita, so that both your supporters and your detractors can have their fair say. Trying to censor the dissenting point of view does not make it go away. That's just a bit of friendly advice from me to you. For those wishing to check out Anita's video, it can be seen here. Then I posted a link to her video. Now, I can certainly be an incendiary person, but you will notice that nowhere in this statement do I insult Sarkeesian or her audience. Nowhere in this statement am I aggressive or abusive. I am strongly disagreeing with her choice, but I am doing so civilly. Now, I'd like to read you some responses to my post from Sarkeesian fans on Tumblr. Vegetarian responds, "Wow, look at this fucking pig, ha ha ha. Someone's sad his blog is shit and everyone cares more about Anita Sarkeesian because her opinions are actually valuable. Winking sad face, winking sad face, winking sad face. I'm sure she needs your advice." The slightly more eloquent and vastly more insane user, Simone D. Bongwater, who describes herself as a rad femme misandrist cat lady stoner babe, added, "They didn't enable the fucking comments because of men like this. Men who just want to wallow in their shitty anonymity, want to fight for their right to take the cheapest shots at women with opinions, anything to cut us down, anything to build their vapid egos up." She then goes on to quote Valerie Solanas, a feminist famous for shooting Andy Warhol and for holding to the stance that men are a mistake of nature, a belief based on her poor understanding of both biology and embryology. She says, "Being an incomplete female, the male spends his life attempting to complete himself, to become female. He attempts to do this by constantly seeking out, fraternizing with, and trying to live through and fuse with the female, and by claiming as his own all-female characteristics, emotional strength and independence, forcefulness, dynamism, decisiveness, coolness, objectivity, assertiveness, courage, integrity, vitality, intensity, depth of character, etc., and projecting onto women all male traits, vanity, frivolity, triviality, weakness, etc." Simone goes on to say, "I'm seeing the vanity, frivolity, triviality, weakness in the incessant need of these pseudo-liberal, Reddit-loving dude bros to descend on any feminist material like a plague, not with discourse, not with feedback, but with, as Amazing Atheist admits, comments abusive in nature. Disabling the comments does not send the message that your ideas cannot hold up under scrutiny. It sends the message that you are not the personal punching bag of any entitled white boy with a MacBook." I don't even own a Mac. Reading through Simone D. Bongwater's blog, it's clear that she is a lunatic. I'm not saying that to insult her, I have evidence. Here are a few choice quotes for your enjoyment and amusement. I'm hiding my anger for jobs that have nothing to do with expressing my rad feminist beliefs, but everything to do with building up women. Women's shelter jobs, canvassing, girls' home counselor jobs. I'm fighting for equality now, because once we reach equality, then we can work towards the matriarchy I dream of. One more. I believe that men are at their core violent, malformed, and weak. They shouldn't lead households or countries. Oddly, I don't hate her. She's crazy, but she's harmless crazy. And I recognize that I'm probably crazy as well. We're just crazy in different directions. But I always respect people who go against the grain and try to pull society in directions that there's really no indication society will ever go. I have to admire people like that because I am a person like that. This isn't a digression. I actually have a point in sharing all this with you. My point is this. Crazy people of all stripes say crazy shit to me all the time on the internet. Why? Because it's the internet. Yet I do not censor them. I do not act as if I'm being persecuted. I do not actively work to silence dissent, even when the dissent is inane or insane, and often it's both. Anita Sarkeesian, on the other hand, does seem to work to silence other points of view. She even takes to TED Talks to whine about how she is being harassed on the internet.
I found myself the target of a massive online hate campaign. Now, the next couple of slides represent just a tiny fraction of the harassment I received, and they come with a very large trigger warning. All of my social media sites were flooded with threats of rape, violence, sexual assault, death. And you'll notice that these threats and comments were all specifically targeting my gender.
I pose a question to Sarkeesian and all her supporters. Who is the greater sexist? These obvious trolls who are blatantly saying the things they are saying purely for shock value, or radical feminists who openly subscribe to an ideology that makes the claim that one sex is superior to the other? It's ironic. The first video of her Video Games vs. Women series is about damsels in distress who need others to save them, and how that image is harmful to women and girls. And yet, by disabling avenues of discussion on her channel, that's exactly what she's made herself into, a damsel in distress that needs others to come to her defense. She claims that women lack strong, capable role models in popular culture, yet I believe that she is not being a strong, capable role model herself when she acts as though some bad ratings and negative comments are so powerfully hurtful to her that she can't bear to allow them. Anita, I'd like to address you directly at this point. You and I are on different sides of the feminist issue, but we're both intelligent, opinionated people, and we both have a lot of people on our sides. And some of them are idiots. You should no more allow yourself to be discouraged by anti-feminist trolls than I allow myself to be discouraged by pro-feminist trolls. It's the prerogative of people like us, people who put out content, to take on criticism, even when we know that 99% of it is garbage, abuse, and name-calling. Because in silencing those who would insult us, we also silence those who have valid criticisms or legitimate dissent. And when you disable comments and ratings, you are also silencing those who support you, including those who gave so generously to fund your project. So I ask you, Anita, it's not a demand, but simply a request, that you allow comments and ratings, because ultimately your haters will only drive up your traffic, and your video will be seen by more people. Your message will spread wider and farther. You need to remember, you're not infallible. You're not immune from criticism. Your ideas are not so good that no one can be allowed to challenge them. The veracity of your conclusions are not so set in stone that no one can be allowed to dissent. Do the right thing and let the debate begin. Thanks for listening, Anita.